Well, I've been working 19 years in Canon this year. It's been a very exciting journey. Frankly, this 19 years have gone by rather rapidly, I would say, because it's just every day, you just go day by day, and after some time, 19 years have passed. Well, I think that's what keeps it interesting itself. It's not doing the same thing every day. Every day comes with new challenges. So I'm a trained marketer. Marketing is what I've trained to be, and I find that whatever I studied in the university, it's still being applied on a daily basis. So it's very relevant to the field I'm in. In my career itself, I also set up deliberately to move into this line because it marries my training, my interest, not only in the field of marketing, but also the interest in consumer technology itself. I find that's something that speaks to me. People who know me know that I'm also a gadget file itself. So being able to work on this equipment and see the evolution, and you're right, from analog to digital, the industry has transformed rapidly. This brings with it new challenges. Even in the field of marketing itself, the customer journey has also evolved. So every day is a new marketing challenge, which keeps me on my toes. It makes the job definitely more exciting. So of course, this has been a very interesting journey in the transition from analog to digital itself. We've seen a very phenomenal growth stage in cameras, people moving, upgrading from film to digital. We've seen the rapid expansion with Canon making its cameras more and more accessible, even our DSLRs being very accessible. The market really boomed. Of course, the market evolved over time. We do see proliferation of other substitute products itself, but the market is always in constant flux. Today we see again the interest in mirrorless, especially in the full frame cameras. Our recent introduction of our EOS R and RP is our response to the market. We're seeing great traction with these cameras. We are excited, but it's not just the EOS R and RP bodies itself. It's a whole optical system that really gets me excited. The promises of the new RF lenses, you've seen what the new lenses can do. It's, I think, exciting times ahead for the industry. Well, I think it's early days still. Currently, we have cameras across different lineups, from compact to the interchangeable lens system. We have our M series, we have our EOS series, of course we have also the R series itself. Basically, we are here to support photographers in all forms and fashions. Depending on their needs and requirement, we will respond with the adequate, proper product line that will suit their needs. As to how the market plays out in the next 5 to 10 years, it's still early days. We have seen the interest in customers moving into full frame mirrorless. I think that's why we responded with our EOS R and RP. But there's still, we believe currently, a market for EOS users with optical viewfinders. There's still a market for very compact, lightweight APS-C, M series type of cameras. Even for your compact, the premium compacts like the G series. So again, as long as the market is there, we will continue to develop the products that will suit these needs. Well, I don't believe we are late to the market in that sense. It's always when is the right time to commercialize a product itself. It's not about having the latest bells and whistles, having the latest technology itself, but what is relevant to the market at a point in time itself. I think as a commercial entity, we need to make sure that the time we go in, there is a critical mass that's ready for the technology itself. And we've seen, over the past few years, we've seen that growth in mirrorless technology, consumers wanting the technology, and then that's why we responded. I don't think in evolution itself, we are looking at a single point in time itself. But looking at it from a long run perspective itself. Canon, we have a rich history in photography. This is definitely in our DNA. Like for digital cameras itself, We are not the first to market this technology itself, but look at where we are today. We are definitely the market leader in this field itself, and that's where we intend to be. Long run, we know what we're doing. We will respond with the right products at the right time as and when we think the market is ready for the introduction. Well, I think all of them serves a different need itself. The EOS R is a very interesting camera itself. Of course, it's very different if you're coming from a OVF type user, which I am, but it gives a lot of promise. Its ability to focus in low light conditions itself is fantastic. When we were introducing the R, it's an opportunity to go to Japan itself. We were visiting a Japanese garden, twilight, low light, you can't see anything. If you have an OVF, you probably can't focus itself. But the EVF, the R, they're able to see you exactly and focus very quickly. So there are promises of what new technology brings to it. And it's exciting. Each generation, I think we are looking at better and better capabilities. The cameras today, when I first started in the business itself, the noise, you take it as part of the character of the camera itself, but these days, the high ISO capability, you're getting so clean images, even at phenomenal high ISO. It's amazing what you can achieve today. That's evolution, and I think users, will just enjoy the technology as we go ahead. So I'm always excited when new, better and better technologies that come across each generation itself. Myself, of course, I'm still, I played with different cameras. I have different cameras in my own personal arsenal itself. My current main camera I'm using is still the EOS 80D. Of course, for me, next step really is to transit into full frame like everyone else. So again, the full frame mirrorless technologies like the R and RP will be very exciting for me. Well, I don't shoot commercially, that's why I'm a Canon itself. I always say that, if you're not good enough, you do marketing instead of being a full-fledged photographer. I try to improve my craft as I go along. I shoot a variety of subjects as and when I can. Of course, I've been shooting a lot of my family, forcing them to be my subjects. But as they grow older, it gets harder and harder to get them to model for you. Family moments, but I try to shoot everything in between. I've shot things like action, F1. I try opportunity to go down there to hone my craft. I do a bit of landscape. So a variety. I won't say any particular field I'm good in, but I'm continually trying to hone my craft. I'm still trying to find time to go out there and shoot. It's to me, it's not just a job itself. Photography was, and it's still a passion for me itself. When I joined Canon 19 years ago, I was really interested in photography. I had the brand belief. I was a Canon user before I joined Canon itself. So it's a very natural progression for me to do what I'm doing, because even today, I'm still excited by photography, by imaging. The strong belief in the brand is still there. So to me, it's easy to do what I'm doing when you're passionate about the brand, about the subject.
Okay, we've talked a bit about cameras, but also Canon does a lot of printers.
Yes.
And there's some very nice examples in this area.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk a bit more about the printing side of Canon?
Well, people may see me a bit of a traditionalist, but I still believe that taking a photo is only 50% of the genre itself. The other 50% comes from printing. I do make it a point, to try to print out my subjects itself, because nothing beats having the print in your hands, looking at it, doing the recollection. It saddens me somewhat these days that a lot of people are spending big bucks, a lot of money on the latest camera, full frame capability, high resolution, but all their outputs, it's in their digital device, whether it's an iPad, the only thing they do is share on their social feed, whether Facebook, Instagram, It saddens me because you're not capitalizing on the full capability, showcasing your images in the light that you should be doing itself. For myself, of course, yes, I do share them on social, Facebook, whatever. But beyond that, I think it's a very different experience for myself. I have a collection of photo books which I've done. I recounted, over the last span of a couple of years, I've really 12 photo books itself, many images on there. The whole feel about opening these photo books, looking at that, the feel of paper, it's also swiping and all that, the scale of it, it's a whole different feel. I get the excitement, I get the memories. Even my home itself, I do put up pictures, not only of my family, but also pieces that speak to me, myself. I decorate them with my prints, and I'm proud of it. And I think that's what I hope a lot of people will also look into, the satisfaction they get from seeing your own images, your own creations on your wall. I think that's important to complete the equation. So print is definitely something that I would encourage people to look at. I think for me it's, technicalities count and all that, but to me also it's control itself. It's very simple to say, hey, let's bundle up on a device itself, but the dark color calibration, again, I don't want to go into the technicalities itself, but even sending out to external printers and all that, you are dependent a lot on who the operator is, what sort of color biases that they're looking at. But these days with the printers that we have, the quality, it's phenomenal. You are achieving very good quality images itself, but the ability to control what you see, what goes up on the wall, you're in control. If you like it a bit warmer, you can dial it in to your liking, print it out, see for yourself, and it's not expensive to do it these days itself. So why not have a printer at home, print it? I run several printers at home, and I feel that satisfaction in controlling the whole process. Well, these days I think it's also not just to get the technicalities itself, but also we're trying to engineer our products around the user experience. So I think we're quite happy that we have things like the mini photo printer itself. Like I said, 50% of it is actually seeing the output, and with this mini photo printer, it's so easy for people to get images from their phones, print it out, distribute it, share it, and with the price point makes it, a very cool gift, and it's very profitable.
So that's interesting because you're actually bringing printing back to the smartphone. Yes. And the smartphone, everyone knows the smartphone killed the compact camera. But what not many people know or understand is that the smartphone is the first entry into photography for a lot of people who then move on towards mirrorless cameras and digital cameras. Do you see that in your experience?
Definitely. I think that's why we see as a good development in that sense. Yes, smartphones, do make it more convenient for people to not consider carrying the camera itself. But at the same time, on the reverse, as more people, take pictures and then realize, hey, images speak to me. I want to hone my craft. I want to get better control of the pictures. There's a realization that you need the right gear for it. The best smartphone these days, with good camera capability, you're talking about flagship smartphones that cost in excess of 1,000 plus over itself. But my most basic camera, 100 plus, 200, the capabilities will outweigh a lot of the flagship smartphones out there. So there's a realization that, hey, as people take more images with their smartphones, they go on to say, I want to get better images. I need a better camera. So that we see that interest in people going towards a premium compact, people moving into the interchangeable camera. So we're seeing that really interesting. The people who buy a camera today are more serious, are willing to spend more, are investing in the whole system. So we see that as a positive sign. So we're not looking at just the mere quantity user base itself. Nothing beats having a smartphone in your pocket for convenience itself, but as you progress, you will definitely want to consider a camera. Well, I don't have anything against artificial bokeh. If you like, artificial bokeh, you like overcooked HDR, so be it. I said, end of the day, images. There's no definite standard that appeals to all. It's what speaks to you. But I think essentially what's important when it comes to images, it's your starting point, your raw ingredient. It's like a simple analogy. If you're cooking a piece of steak itself, of course you want to start off with a good cut, wagyu, whatever. That gives you a very nice tasting steak meal at the end of the day itself. But if you start with a bad cut, a lot of fatty cartilage, whatever, no matter what you put, the processors, whatever, your salt, pepper, they're not going to change the flavor itself. So that's where the big difference is. It's not about the processors that you put in smartphones, whatever. Yes, they can try to cook it, make it look better itself, but you start with the raw engine itself. Okay, cameras these days, with their large capacity for data capture, light capture itself, there's something with a better point. You want to have, your artificial bokeh, you can do it either in camera through lenses or through Photoshop. There's a variety, but the raw data is where the difference comes in. The amount of information that you have, that smartphone will not be able to give you. You're talking about the type of dynamic range, the type of ISO control. Smartphones will never be able to give you that good ingredient to start with. Well, much as I would like to share future developments, I regret that also I'm not privy to some of this news itself. But like I have said, we will always look at what the market requires, where the demand is, and I think we are constantly looking at what are the configuration that we should come up with, whether it's an APS-C, whether a full frame, whether a different type of compact. We are looking at areas like that, and seeing what we can innovate and bring value to customers. Looking at the art development, again, we are not looking, it's important to not jump onto technology bandwagon too soon itself. What we've realized it's when we look at the market itself, we're saying, hey, our EF lenses have been there for almost 40 plus years itself. What's going to take us to the next century? We need to relook at the whole equation itself, not whether it's from the body, from the optics itself. So we did a whole total relook itself. We've seen how our competitors have jumped onto the bandwagon too early, but when we look at that, we realize that, hey, that's not going to be a system that can ride up for the next century itself. There are limitations itself. So, if you look at that, is it by coincidence that when we were launching our full frame mirrorless, ourselves and our other competitor both chose large diameter optical system for our lenses, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think, our engineers realized that, hey, having a small diameter optical system, there will be a lot of limitations down the road, okay? But with what we have put into the R system, the RF lenses itself, there are a lot of routes to development, and whether we're talking about better optical quality, more compact, high quality lenses, there's a lot of variations that we can do to simplify the optical computations that's needed in the lenses itself. And we've seen it in some phenomenal lenses that we launched with the R itself. Our 51.2 RF, you're talking about very good sharpness, not only center but also edge to edge. We have the 2870 f2 lens itself that, it's like cramped, instead of you carrying 3 prime lenses, hey, you have a zoom with a combination of all the major focal points and f2, so it's a big game changer for a lot of photographers, whether it's events or wedding itself. Instead of carrying 3 primes, one lens does it all. So again, we have in the lineup, we are working on the Trinity F2.8 for RF itself. That will be interesting in terms of what we come up with. I believe it will be a game changer. So the promise of the whole R system with the RF lenses, I think it's very exciting times for us ahead. Well, it's not about megapixel per se. That's something that has been debated. It's also about your sensor size. But that's only one part of the equation itself. Your sensor. You're also talking about optics itself. It's all about how much data you're collecting, how much light you're collecting. So the reason why we have big lenses on cameras, it's important. Talking about distortion. Even lenses itself, there's a lot of science that goes into it in terms of your aberration control, your distortion, even your contrast itself. If for the more technically inclined viewers on there, they will already know that, hey, a basic lens versus, for example, our lenses itself, the type of color contrast is a world of difference itself. If you use an L lens, you can see the colors, wow, phenomenal. The type of 3D pop that you get, So all this has a bearing on your images itself. So it's not just about, hey, I have a smartphone 20 megapixel, it can do the job like a camera. It's all down to your starting point itself. You want good images, you got to start with the right image capture, and that's where there is a lot of difference. We're not saying smartphones can't do image capture, but if we are looking for good images itself, good starting point, it's a world of difference. If you want to do a nice print, I think starting off with a camera is definitely a no-brainer. QSA is our Canon corporate philosophy. It means living and looking for the common good itself. It's more than a philosophy. It really, for us, we have tried to incorporate it in everything we do. It's really about creating value for our customers, for the community we operate. It goes beyond just CSR, corporate social responsibility, but it's also playing a meaningful part in the society that we are operating in, even in a way of being able to give gainful employment to the community, giving them opportunities. So we look at it very holistically in different aspects. We make sure that we are adding value to our consumers. We are doing gainful employment to the locals itself. Again, but at the same time, we are also executing our corporate social responsibility, giving back to society, giving back to the environment, being good environmental stewardship. So we're looking at it very holistically in whatever we do. Yeah, for us, we don't believe in just the acquisition, it's the end of a transaction with customers. For us, it's really the belief in a long-term relationship. That's how we value our customers. We want you to have a good first experience with the camera itself. So actually, when you purchase our cameras, our printers itself, we do have a complimentary class for you that we will guide you along with some of the know-hows for these devices itself. That allows you to quickly, have a good utilization of and get good utility from our products itself. But beyond that, it's also about enriching the community. So we do have a school, the Canon Imaging Academy. We do courses that can upgrade your skills, teach you new genres. If you want to learn macro photography, you want to learn about studio lighting, yes, we have courses to upgrade your skills. But not only in terms of education, we want to enrich your whole journey with us. We do things like outings, we even do things like travel trips. But end of the day, it's about that sense of belonging, that sense of community. So we have various communities, of course, virtual communities on our Facebook. We have a lot of people interacting with us down there, but we also try to bring it not only online but also offline. We do outings. We have a community, EOS World, where we have professionals, amateurs coming together to do common sharing, partaking of skill exchanges, opportunity for each one to learn of each other. That creates that whole journey of excitement that will keep our users going. And of course, we have our signature event like Canon Photo Marathon, very unique format, which makes this journey exciting. You don't want to buy a camera after shooting for a month, don't know what to shoot, that's it, But for us to believe, even for myself, I've been shooting for over 20 years itself. I'm still learning new stuff every day, But the more I go and shoot, the more I improve, the more I learn. I speak to the people, yours were and all that. I'm learning from them. It's a constant journey. I enjoy the camaraderie. The photo marathon. It's good to see people coming back, and year after year after year. I think that whole sense of community coming together, I think that's what's valuable, and that's what will keep the community going ahead. So the photo marathon, it's a very interesting project for us. It has taken a life of its own, and we're very excited that and concept that originated from Canon Singapore has now been adopted across different Canon offices around the region. When we first set it up itself, again, we are looking at how we can enrich the photographic journey, how we can keep people excited about photography. We look at the market, there are tons of photo contests down there, but typically it's about matter of you digging through your archives, submitting the picture online, tons of that, But the marathon idea, we thought, well, that will keep people on their toes because you can't prepare for it. The teams are only unveiled on that day. Even it's a mystery to a lot of the working crew. And given 3 hours, a time challenge to depict what best depicts that scenario. But it's not only about winning the competitive element itself, but opportunity to pit yourself against your fellow participants, see how they interpret it, how they should. Again, it's a very enriching and also an educational process, Even though I have not participated as a participant for the photo marathon, even as a photographer, I can see myself improving. The more you look at how people interpret the thing, how they compose, how they shoot, you are growing as a photographer. And that's how I think totally as a community we can grow in appreciation.